All right, good afternoon and welcome to Atlanta Motor Speedway. We're going to go ahead and get started with today's media availabilities. We are now joined by Doug Stroud, the Vice President of Getaways and All-Inclusives from Magical Vacation Planner, and driver of the number 14 Stewart Haas Racing Ford Mustang, Chase Briscoe. Chase, your connection to Magical Vacation Planner goes deeper than the partnership with the number 14 team. Can you talk about your relationship with the Eubanks family and how this deal came together last year?
Yeah, it's kind of funny, looking back when I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. I loved playing basketball. My dad was always the basketball coach for our all-star team, and they had this basketball camp in the town north of us, and it was the J.J. Eubanks basketball camp. So every summer, that was like the one thing I was always looking forward to, was going to this basketball camp and hanging out with my buddies. And I would always wear JJ's name on my shirt at this basketball camp, and now he wears my name on his shirt at the racetrack. So it's kind of cool how it's all kind of worked together. We both grew up from, in Mitchell, Indiana, this crazy small town, and have both, been able to overcome a lot of obstacles and, kind of be at the top of our game or in our, division or league or whatever you want to call it. And just kind of made sense, for me as a race car driver, always looking for sponsors, and then for them trying to expand their brand. It really just made sense to kind of come together, and it's really cool for me to be able to align with some people that obviously are from where I'm from, but also have the same values, the same core beliefs, and makes it a lot of fun when you go to the racetrack with people that know that they believe in you and you believe in them. So it's been a lot of fun for us to kind of navigate this over the last year, and it's definitely cool for me just knowing the Eubanks family for as long as I have.
Yeah, sort of speaking of those core beliefs, Doug, your core pillars make a partnership with Chase and Stewart Haas Racing a natural fit. Can you elaborate on that connection?
Absolutely. So our core values, teamwork, growth, and results, and we think that carries over a lot with what Chase and the Stewart Haas Racing team does. It takes a lot of team to make things happen, and then with that comes growth and results, of course. The connection goes pretty deep with the small town that we come from because we're all from that area. I went to school personally with Chase's mom and dad. My wife went to school with their mom and dad. Jamie, our co-owner, went to school with their mom and dad. So the connection runs really deep with that, let alone Chase's moral compass and what he believes in and where he comes from and how he was raised means a lot for us. He carries himself very well on the track, good times, bad times. And we're super proud of him. We couldn't be more proud of him.
Chase, the Magical Vacation Planner paint scheme has special importance this season. Can you tell us a little bit about the people featured on your car?
Yeah, it's really cool. I feel like our paint scheme is definitely unique. There's a lot of different things to look at on it, but the biggest thing is we have all these planners on the car. I think there's over 300-something planners faces on the car. So I was joking with them at the conference in I think we did in January or February about how there's a couple of them on the front that are really going to be in trouble, I think, when we come to Atlanta. So hopefully I can keep all their faces clean. But yeah, it's really cool to see how excited all the planners were, and I think it's really cool that Magical Vacation Planners has done this paint scheme where, literally just everyday people can be a planner and have their face on a car for 5 cup races. It's a pretty cool thing that they were able to do. So I know that there's a lot of significance with me, driving the paint scheme, trying to, first off, keep everybody's face intact, but also try to make them proud and put on a show. So it's been really cool to see all the excitement from all the planners, trying to find their face on the car. It's kind of like trying to find a missing puzzle piece. So it's been really cool for me to do that. I've never raced with people's faces on my car, and we got a lot of them on it this year, so hopefully I can get them all in victory lane.
You're talking about the planners, Doug. How does this all work? Do you have travel advisors all over the country? How can they be contacted? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so all of our advisors are across the country, and we think very, very highly of them. They are our clients. Without them, we're not Magical Vacation Planners. So we do think very highly of them. We think it's a very cool paint scheme that they're there. You can find them through most any social media channel. They're usually handled by Magical Vacation Planner by, and we like to think of ourselves as memory makers, not order takers. Their services are complimentary, so it doesn't cost anybody anything to use them. They do the full trip planning. You can also find them by going to the website, magicalvacationplanner.com, and we also have a sweepstakes going on.
So we're in vacation season right now. Can you tell us a little bit about some of your popular destinations and cruises?
So that's a hard question, just because I love them all, as everybody likes to travel. But specifically Disney parks, Disney cruise lines, Disney getaways, But, you know, our top destinations, Jamaica, Punta Cana, Mexico, European, Hawaii. So we can pretty much start to finish from any destinations you want to go.
Chase, can you tell us a little bit about some of your recent travels?
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody in this room can appreciate the grind that we all go through and just always looking forward to a vacation. And for me and my family, I feel like that's been a huge thing to honestly just kind of get away from the stress of what this life kind of entails. But yeah, for us, you know, this February before Daytona started the season, I took my son Brooks to Disney, which was just a super magical thing to do. I remember as a kid going there and always just being excited to go, but then being on the other side of it, being the parent and seeing the joy that he was able to have, and just how easy the whole process was from start to finish thanks to MVPs. So outside of that, went to Atlanta for the off week, which was really nice. Like he said, kind of anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world you want to go, really, you can go. So it's been a huge asset for me to be able to use that to my advantage. And I know that everybody in this room, like I said, can definitely use it a vacation at the end of the year and just to get away and kind of unwind from the stress of everyday life in this garage. So it's definitely been nice to have them. And like I said, it's super easy from start to finish. It's completely free. I think that's the one thing that everybody is always like, well, what's the catch? And there is no catch. It's literally free and easy to use. So it makes your vacation way easier. And I know that everybody in this room is going to book a vacation at the end of the year, so better use them.
All right, we're going to open up to questions from the media. If you have a question, please raise your hand and we will get a wireless microphone to you. Yeah, start over here in the back.
Yes, Alfred Romero, Southern Race Week Radio. What is your favorite ride that you rode? And also your son's favorite ride.
Yeah, I would say for me, the Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster was pretty impressive. I've not been there since it had opened up. And, I mean, you're like spinning all these different directions as you're riding on a roller coaster. I would say that was probably my favorite. My son definitely was Dumbo. That was his go-to. And the go-karts. He liked the go-karts. So that would be his two favorites. We rode Dumbo probably 2 or 3 times.
Go to Ben.
Ben White, Speed Sport Magazine, for this one. I want to compare you a little bit to the great Bobby Allison. Bobby was the kind of guy when he was driving that he would drive anything. First, you know, I kid with him about if a washing machine had wheels, he would drive it. And that's pretty much what you've done. You've driven a lot of different race cars. So did you ever follow Bobby's career at all? I know that you were very young when his career ended, but have you read about Bobby, followed Bobby's career at all?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say that he was not racing when I was growing up, right? But I think anybody that's in the sport knows who Bobby Allison was and what he meant to the sport, especially, you know, just the state of Alabama right next door to his here. So for me, you know, I appreciate the, you know, comparison. I don't think I necessarily even can be in the same sentence as Bobby Allison, but definitely, you know, from a comparison of being able to drive all kinds of different things, you know, Bobby and so many of them guys back in the day for sure would just go drive literally anything and everything they could. And I feel like there's definitely not as many of those guys today, which is unfortunate. But, yeah, I love going and racing as many things as I possibly can. You know, I'm literally going to race the sprint car next week when we're in New Hampshire and trying to add more dirt races, just trying to race. Like, I love to do that. I love getting to do what I get to do on Sundays, but also want to try to go and run other things. For one, it makes me better, but two, that's what I love to do. It was kind of my first love. And, yeah, just appreciate, like I said, the kind words. But, yeah, I think Bobby Allison is a name that will be remembered forever, not only for being able to drive all kinds of different things, but being able to drive all kinds of different things really, really fast.
Okay, right here in the middle.
Jeff Watkins, Toyota's Race Week. You talked about the stress of the garage and, you know, being that NASCAR is one of the longest seasons of all sports. How do you handle that mental grind of, you know, racing every week?
Yeah, it's hard. You know, I would say truthfully, the past 2-3 months have probably been the hardest thing I've ever had experience in my career, just with the struggles on the racetrack. But I think that's where you just have to stay grounded. You know, have a support system behind you. You know, with me and my family and close friends and you know people that believe in me. But also your faith. I think you have to be really grounded in that. You know, and realize that your meaning is not where you finish on Sunday. So, I mean, it's definitely a challenge. Like I said, when things are going good, it's not as big of a challenge. But when you're running bad, that grind, I feel like, is 10 times worse and 10 times harder to deal with. And, you know, this sport, I feel like, is really hard. Your stock is always kind of based on the week before and a couple weeks before. You know, you look at Jimmy Johnson, the guy won 7 championships. And at the end of his career, he struggled, and people questioned if it was him. And, you know, Jimmy Johnson didn't forget how to drive a race car. And, even for me right now, knowing that I've been on this kind of rough patch the last 2 or 3 months, I just got to remember why I'm here and how I got here and just try to stay confident in that.
And then he can always take a vacation.
Yeah, that too.
All right, let's go next to Kelly Crandall.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. Chase, the Fords here in the spring seem to be the strongest by far. Given everything actually that you just said in that previous answer about the struggles and what this team's been going through, do you come here looking at this race as an opportunity, maybe not even to get a win, but just have something good happen with, again, how fast the Fords looked in the spring?
Yeah, I would say, definitely all year long when we went to a super speedway type of race, the Fords have had really good speed for whatever reason. And I think it's no secret that we've kind of struggled, at least for the 14 team, but even Fords as a whole, kind of a little bit more on the mile and a half than we probably like to. So, yeah, I think, me and my crew chief this weekend, we're sitting down and talking about how, we need to go win a race. But, truthfully, we haven't had even the speed to do that. But we need to really focus everything we got on Daytona and Atlanta because that is the equalizer, right? So I'll be extremely aggressive probably tomorrow, just knowing that. But hopefully our car can be really fast. The biggest thing for us in the spring, we had a really fast car. We just didn't have the handling to go with it. So with the hotter temperatures and things like that, hopefully we can have the handling underneath our car. But, yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be a wild card race, and we need to try to win the race. But, for us right now, with all the change that's happened in the last 2 or 3 weeks, we're just trying to kind of reestablish what baseline is, build that foundation. So even if we can't win, we need to learn as much as we can, in this limited amount of time. We got, I don't know how many weeks left of the season, but with how all the changes happen, we're really trying to just get focused and prepared for next year. So every week is kind of a building block for that. So, yeah, I would love to win the race tomorrow. That's what I'm going to try to do. But if not, then for sure need to try to just take something away from this weekend that we can apply next weekend and going forward.
Establishing that foundation and just trying to get something going. Does it feel like anything has been different, maybe a momentum or an attitude change, just trying to, again, look for something within the team to
Yeah, for sure. I think the dynamic of our team has changed quite a bit, the communication and things like that. I know that I've been held, way more accountable over the last 2 or 3 weeks for sure. And I do think that even last week, just from Nashville to going to Chicago, Chicago, I thought we ran a really good race. The strategy just didn't really work out for us. And even from a speed standpoint, in practice, we were truthfully probably a 25th to 30th place car. We were able to qualify 15th. And then in the race, I think our average lap speed was like the 6th or 7th fastest. And with the strategy and things, we weren't fast enough to drive farther forward than where we kind of restarted. So I do think that, we've seen kind of that light at the other end of the tunnel. It's just a matter of getting there. And it's not going to be a quick process. It's going to take a long time. That's where you just have to, just keep believing and knowing what we're working towards. And I do think that it's going to be really good on the other end of it. It's just a matter of getting to the end point.
All right, we have just a couple more minutes left. We're going to try to get in 2 more questions. We're going to go to Justin and then finish with Lee.
Justin Schuler, Kicking the Tires. Chase, how do you think Atlanta has matured now as a super speedway track? Obviously going through that repave and all the changes.
Yeah, it's definitely, I feel like it's kind of made a name for itself, right? Like whenever it was the old track, I think all the drivers loved it. The fans probably not so much, but I think now it's kind of the opposite. The drivers probably don't love coming here as much just because of what the race is and knowing that when you wake up tomorrow, you're either going to have a good day or you're going to be really sore on Monday. But from a fan standpoint, I think it's been a huge change. I mean, just look at the amount of people in the infield, the people in the stands that are going to be here tomorrow, and even that we're here in the spring. When we had the old track, we didn't have this many people here. So obviously it was the right direction. I don't think we need to switch all the mile and a halves over to this, but I do think Atlanta's kind of came into its own as what it is now. And even from the driver's side, it's a huge challenge coming here. Mentally, it's the most draining place I feel like we go to all year. It's a Daytona Talladega, but everything's happening twice as quick just because it's a mile shorter. The corners are tighter. You still have handling, where when you go to Daytona and Talladega, you don't necessarily have the balance issues, where here it's this hybrid racetrack that's kind of unlike anything else on the schedule. So it's a huge challenge, but I definitely think it has matured into this new type of racing that we see with this next-gen car, and especially at a track like this.
Go ahead, Lee.
Spencer Catch Fence. You run really well at flatter 1 mile tracks. You know, you had the win at Phoenix, 2 top 10s there, led 15 laps, or finished 15th after leading laps at Loudon last year. Or how do you feel going back to Loudon?
Personally, I feel like that's by far my worst racetrack. So I was surprised you said that. Yeah, I don't know. You know, for us, the short tracks have definitely been really, really good. But I would say statistically and just even as a driver, Loudon's the one track that just really confuses me. I just, for whatever reason, cannot figure out what I need there. But I did feel like last year, you know, like you said, we were able to lead laps. We ran top 15, but I still have a lot to learn when I go to Loudon. So I'm going to really rely on my teammates there next weekend. You know, Kevin's extremely good there. Eric's obviously won a cup race there, and Ryan, that's like his home track. So I'll use those guys quite a bit next week, just trying to figure out what I can do. And even looking back at you know, notes and video, I'll probably study a lot of Christopher Bell stuff going into next week. I feel like he's incredibly good there. So, yeah, I just got to get better there. But as a short track, that's definitely one where it's circled. Like, these are the races. If we're going to win before the playoffs, these are ones that we could go and compete at. So hopefully we can have a good weekend this weekend, but also next week.
All right, Doug, Chase, thank you, and good luck tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.